In the prior video, I showed that Panasonic camera that had the bad battery. And I said, in the past we've been able to resurrect those batteries by refilling them. Well, let's try and refill this one and see if it works. In the last video, I looked at the Panasonic camera, and I was talking about how I used to refill these batteries when the acid started to leak out of them. Let's see whether we can get any life out of this one. So I'm going to pull the top off. And I'm going to put some deionized water that I have. Probably should use distilled water, but I have deionized water. So we're going to pop the top off of this thing to reveal that inside here there's a bunch of little cells that will be dry. Now there's also an absorbent material, an absorbent layer on here, which will absorb any spill. So this has to go back on, otherwise the battery is going to leak. Even though it's upright in the camera, if the camera is sitting upside down or something, the battery can leak. But here's what's inside. As you can see, these things aren't all that well sealed. They just have this material to absorb any leak that happens. And they're just glued together. And here are the individual cells that we can pop the tops off of. And they're no different than a car battery. There's 6 of them. Each one is 2 volts. This is just a wet cell. And as you can see, it looks pretty dry. I'm going to go put some water in this thing, put the top back on it, and then we'll set it in the charger and see if it'll actually take a charge. That'll be interesting. So I've added some water to the cells. We'll put the caps on. I haven't filled them all the way up either, but we'll know whether this thing's going to take a charge pretty quick. Okay, I got the charger here. Battery drops into the charger just one way. We'll see if it'll go into charge mode. Okay, this thing's on charge. It's been sitting on charge for a while now. If you look and see, you'll see that the charge light is lit up. This is probably acid that's on top here, so I don't want to spill it or it'll burn a hole in anything. But the charge light is on. You'll see that the charge light is actually lit up on the front of the charger. And you can see the hydrogen gas is being produced. You have to soak up that excess water that's bubbling up there. That's what this is for. This is to actually neutralize any spillage. And that top gets sealed back on there. I'm curious as to whether this thing's actually going to hold a charge. The question is, will it power up the camera? That I still haven't put back together yet. Well, let's put the battery. I've already kind of tacked it back together, just using a melting technique to melt the top back on to hold the top on. Will the camera power up on the battery? And the answer to that is yes, it will. And you can see right down through the viewfinder there, it is working. I can put the tape back in. And I can play the tape. There's the tape playing. It's at the end of the tape. But as you can see, it's working off the battery. Battery resurrected. And rewind is So that just goes to show you that you can top up those lead acid batteries for these old camcorders. Just put some distilled water into them, and they will generally come back. They may not come back to 100% capacity, but most of them will come back to pretty close to it. Don't overfill them, obviously. And your results may vary. But this one is working again. Now I have a functional VHS camcorder with a functional battery. Just like that. Thanks for watching.